What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, of course, if you couldn't tell by those large chompers back there, is the Freddie Mercury puppet. This, of course, is where all the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Reckless Rexx Ruger, a.k.a., and this is important, Diamond David Lee Roth Jr., folks. Take a look. Should be pretty undeniable to the trained and or untrained eye that you were looking at rock royalty, rock star genetics passed on, bestowed upon me. And it's a heavy cross to bear, folks. But hey, let me stop and enjoy the view for a minute and take a look. Boy, oh boy, it is good to be me. And of course, when I need a little help with the Roth quaff, this is the product I go to, folks. Get it, love it, use it. And of course, you will step up your game, but not to this level, folks. Dispel that right out of your mind right now. It's impossible to look this good, so just forget it. But up your game some, though. That's important. God damn, so good. I'm going to take another look. We got a big guest today, man. So I want to look at my optimum rock star best. And boy, do I ever. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it hurts to look this good, folks. But hey, I do it. I do it for you, the fans. So DNA testing after the holidays will prove conclusively, my lawyers have assured me, that we will prove once and for all that I am indeed the son of glam, the front man for the band, adored by millions of fans, the peanut butter to your jam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, Mr. Wop, Boppa, Loo, Boppa, Wop, bam, bam, shazam, hot damn. Whew. Look like the man, sound like the man. We're going to prove this thing, that I am ultimately the son of the man. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, man. It is the holiday season. At the time of this recording, it is December 17th. We're 8 days away from Christmas. It's freezing cold here in upstate New York. Well, today was actually pretty nice, but winter is upon us here. Let me get some of the obligatory promotional stuff out of the way. Make sure to like and follow Pod Scum on Facebook. You got to play ball. You got to do it. You got to have a profile out there. You got to be on the social medias. And Pod Scum is out there. It's where you'll get your updates of newly released episodes and who is on said episodes. So that's important. And of course, make sure to stay tapped in right here on this channel. If you're watching me right now, you found it. Utopia, folks. The holy grail of podcasts, man. The best conversations. And of course, I'm a little biased. Anywhere on the internet with all the greats in music and entertainment. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay tapped in. That's important, man. You got to do it. And take the ride, folks. Tons of great episodes, tons of great past episodes that I implore you to go listen to. Our guest is here, so I'm done chit-chatting. Let's get down to it and chop it up. I'm excited. This is going to be a good one, man. It's always good ones. Not to toot my own horn, but...
Yo, man.
How are you, man?
Good. How's it going, dude?
Awesome. Good to have you on here, man. I'm sure you can probably relate, you being originally an upstate New York guy yourself, man. I'm in upstate New York near Syracuse, man. Winter is upon us.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. My God. It was inevitable, I guess, right?
It's always inevitable around here, man. You got to just brace yourself, and you got to know it's coming, you know?
That's all you can do. Eventually, it's going to happen, and then there you go, you know?
I mean, you were right in the thick of it, though, man. You guys are Buffalo guys. I'm certainly a little more east of Buffalo, man. But Buffalo gets hit hard, brutally hard.
Yeah, it does, depending on, I mean, it's weird. The weather's changing, these patterns and all that. And it's actually not as bad as it used to be, of course. But when it does get hit, it does get hit pretty good, No,
you make a good point. It has gotten milder here, though. I just had this conversation with coworkers, man. We're not getting the snowfall that I remember as a child. I'm 51 years old. I remember giant, playing King of the Mountain and pushing each other off of snowbanks. And we got tremendous snowfall.
Yep. Of course, same thing with in Buffalo. I mean, albeit yes, where we were little, but there was more snow early. I mean, and sustained.
Yeah.
You had that snow. I mean, for it to be mid-December right now and almost the end of December, and if it's just starting, I mean, we already had snow for a good month at this point when we were young. Remember? And then it didn't go away. I mean, it wasn't like, once you had that snow, it's there till the end of winter. There wasn't any lulls. This now is just going to go away in another week or what? And then, yeah, so weird how that is. But
Yeah, that's what's been happening a lot. We get the snowfall, and then suddenly it'll spike up to 45, 50 degrees, and then it's gone. And it looks like the diagnosis here looks like we're going to have a green Christmas. So
yeah, that happens, you know.
it is what it is. But listen, first of all, congratulations. You know, I know the album Chaos Horrific came out last year, man. But another great fucking Cannibal Corpse album, man. You guys are still pedal the metal, consistent, man. Did you ever think, though, man, that death metal, when you guys started this band in the 80s, man, that 35 plus years later, you guys would still be going this strong?
You know, you can never anticipate that or speculate, obviously. You know, I mean, you just, you know, you never thought of the future, basically. You thought of the immediate when you start out, or when we did anyways. You know, you're just doing what you got to do to make it, and you know, make the next song and play the next gig and all that. And then, you know, we were fortunate enough to sign a record deal and you know, put a record out or what have you. And then, yeah, I don't know, back then you just, you didn't have anything to go on. Like a lot of bands, you know, it's crazy to think a lot of the bands, or pretty much all the bands that you grew up listening to, well, geez, they were only around maybe like 10 years at that point, you know?
Right.
You know, when you think of a band like, I don't know, like Iron Maiden or something. Yeah, we're formed in '88, and Iron Maiden, they put the first album out in '80. You know, I mean, so they're only around a few years. I mean, there's none of these bands that have any longevity at this point, because they're all fairly new, even though, of course, they are older than you and they're your influences. So I guess, you know, when when we started out, you're just, like I said, just hoping that you can just take it day by day. And you never really thought that you would ever, I mean, I didn't think so. And I don't think any of us probably ever thought we'd still be here to this day, you know, especially back then, because you're just naive. You're young. You just don't have that thought process. So it is pretty remarkable.
And I'm glad you brought up influences. Is there anybody, or maybe like one or two names that come to mind, who you think have had the most influence on you specifically as a drummer, playing style, just your approach to the instrument?
Oh yeah, of course. Slayer, Dave Lombardo is my biggest influence. Of course, you know, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You know, he's you know, the king of thrash, double bass and all that. So as a teenager, hearing him play in the mid '80s, and, you know, obviously I wasn't playing at that point yet. I'm just starting out. So it was, you know, that really solidified me wanting to play the way I play today. You know, what he was doing and still is doing. So, but all those bands and all those influences we had in the mid to late, you know, '80s, going from, I guess, any of the heavy metal, like I mentioned, like an Iron Maiden, to, you know, as it progressed into bands like Metallica, Slayer, and then the thrash bands of, you know, Creator and, you know, things like that, Dark Angel, that really, you know, were the forerunners of death metal and what we do in Cannibal Corpse. So I mean, so many influential bands and drummers back then. But yeah, Lombardo would be my biggest one.
What about touring, man? Because, you know, I know, and I'm not a musician, so I don't, you know, I just go and do a 9 to 5, work in healthcare. I'm a nurse, come home at the end of the day. So travel is not involved in my job, but I do know at the end of the day, I like to come home to my creature comforts. You know what I mean? I think I've become more of a homebody as I've gotten older. Touring is such a big part of the business. Do you love that part of the business as much, going out? It's kind of a nomadic existence. You know, you're out there on the road. You guys still tour very heavily. You still love that part of it?
Well, you know, I'm like you said, I think the older you get, I mean, and not everybody's the same, but I think it's almost like a general probably consensus where, yeah, the older you get, you just, you know, you'd rather be home. Exactly. Yeah. Home, like you just mentioned. I mean, we're roughly the same age, and, you know, albeit, yeah, we do different things, but we're still human. And, you know, yeah, I would be lying if I said, oh yeah, I love it, I want to live on the road. I mean, you know, no, I've done it. I've been there. I mean, this is part of the job, obviously. Right. Do this. There's no other way around it. I mean, I would imagine we would, if there was a way to avoid it, we probably would at this point. Yeah. The house, I want to, you know, be home with my cats, and, you know, yeah. Right. the comforts of home, and especially like you said, the older you get, it's just, it's different, but this is part of the gig, so of course, you have to do it. And we've been doing it our whole lives since we were 20s or what have you, touring. So you know how to kind of deal with it, I suppose, which is, like I said, part of the game, so you have to do it. It has to be done. And once you're out on the road and you're playing the shows, obviously you know why you're out there. But yeah, the rigors of just being on a bus and, traveling every day and all that kind of stuff, it starts to tend to maybe, wear on you a little bit more so, of course, than it did in the past, for sure.
Now, what about, and this is not to downplay the roles of the other guys in the band, but, and I talked to other drummers on here, obviously the drumming part of, especially in extreme metal, a lot of physicality involved in it. Talking to drummers, especially drummers that have been doing it a long time, they have to make little tweaks, the height of the stool, the layout of the drums, little aches and pains or whatever. How physically have you held up over the years?
Well, luckily I've held up pretty good. I'm feeling fairly good for my age. And, geez, if anything, there's a lot of times I think, man, am I playing better than I ever have been, which is, I guess, a good thing. But, exactly like you just said, you got to make those tweaks. You got to make those adjustments. You can't just rely on young adrenaline and just pure fury like you might have done when you were younger. So you have to kind of maybe try to take care of yourself a little bit more. So, it all comes down to the basics. The way I look at it anyways is, if you can get good sleep, you stay hydrated, you eat fairly well. And you practice. Those are the main keys. Of course, having some good genes, perhaps, some, unfortunately, here are these guys that just have problems, back problems, or,
right.
problems. There's nothing you can do, luckily I guess I do have pretty decent genes in that regard, where I never had any major ailments in that way. So I if anything, you gotta really, play it a lot more. I've noticed my routines have really stepped up, and especially, just in practice, of course, like knowing if I'm going to maintain, well, I have to be there working extra hard, harder than I ever have in the past. And, so as long as I'm doing that, then I think everything's all right, I suppose. But yeah, I feel pretty good. So, yeah, we do have a strenuous job, arguably the most strenuous. The good thing about, I guess, drumming for me, I look at it as like, well, no matter what, I'm going to always be playing the way I play at practice or on the road. There's no half-assing it at practice.
Right.
You're playing exactly like you need to be playing on the road. So you're just, as long as you can keep that schedule going and have that consistency, then, practice to the road should pretty kind of segue pretty seamlessly. So usually it does, but yeah, just gotta keep it up, man. That's all you can do. You can't stop.
Well, seeing you guys live, it looks like the most brutal thing up there, man, is your drumming and what George is doing to his neck. So, there's a lot going on up there as far as physicality.
That's right. Yeah.
So 16th studio album, there's so many bands out there, that do extreme, metal, young up and coming bands. For you guys, man, the creative process, man, when you're building a great death metal song, man, what's the process like? What's the ingredient when you guys are in the studio? Does it start with a beat? Does it start with a riff, a title, an opening line? I know Alex does a lot of the songwriting.
Yeah, man.
You guys are all involved though.
Yeah, but if you really look, and maybe you've read some interviews or just, you look at the credits of the records these days, a lot of songs are individually written. You'll notice, yes, this song written by Alex, this one by Eric, and that one by Rob, right? So it's definitely a different way than we used to do it in the past. Obviously in the early days, it was just the five of us in a room, you're hashing out riffs, everyone's, putting in their ideas, and a lot of the songs came out of that way, especially on the first 3-4 records.
Right.
Then we started really kind of changing it up, the process of how things were written. And then now with, there's a few of the guys that we're not even living in the same city, that a couple of us. So we're not practicing and writing like we used to in that regard. With technology too, if you got like somebody like Alex, who's very proficient in the way of recording on the laptop and, being able to kind of get a song together that he wants to have, and then he can lay it down, send me the, you know, the song, send everybody the song, and even have drum parts written for me, kind of a thing, then, you know, so that's the way it's pretty much been done these days. Rob and I will still get together a little bit and jam out the old fashioned way, but he still kind of has like a pretty good framework of the song. You know, we're not just sitting there like going, okay, we have nothing, and then we just start playing, or he starts playing, I start playing. I mean, it just doesn't like happen that way anymore. So I mean, the great thing is we got great songwriters.
Yeah.
In the band, if they are going to write that way, which we are, then Alex is writing great songs, Eric's writing great songs. I mean, they have their own flavor and their feel because of that individual songwriter, you know. So it kind of makes it kind of cool in a way. I mean, I guess we try to kind of make sure it's even. In a sense of, you know, we don't want to have like, 8 Alex songs and then one guy wrote one or what have you. You know, if you notice the last few records, it's been like Alex might write 4, you know, Eric write like 3, Rob writes 4, you know, so it's a good mix in that regard. And, you know, they're going to have their feels of, you know, the particular songwriter. So, you know, but yes, we still have to come together, and, you know, I got to play them. You know, George has to sing on them and all this kind of stuff, and they still kind of morph a little bit as they go. But for the most part, you know, everything's pretty much set. You know, when we get a song, like I was saying, then I got to start practicing one. It doesn't change maybe too much, you know, just independent, but overall that's the way it's been happening these days. Yeah.
And the music trends have changed so much, especially post-COVID. But you guys, you know, seem to keep that old school mentality, and maybe it lends itself, you know, to the type of music that you guys do. You know, maybe it has to be an LP, because obviously lately we've seen a lot of people going the EP route or the singles route, which doesn't really seem very befitting of death metal. But it does seem like the attention spans have dwindled sometimes, and people just aren't diving into full albums anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You see that, you know, you read about it. A lot of bands just want to release a single here and there or what have you, not release a full length. I mean, you know, that's a good point. And it's, yeah, I mean, for us, I don't know if that's us exactly. You know, it makes sense. I can understand why bands do it, I suppose. But I don't know if we would ever do that. Right. We're such of the old school mentality that you release a record and you want to still have an order to that record, you know, even though, right, maybe kids are, you know, shuffling it up and not even listening to the order of the record, not even listening to all the songs, who knows, you know. But you know, I mean, yeah, that's something we really haven't talked much about, but I can just see it never happening, just because, like I just said, of us having the old school mentality, because of course that's what we just know, you know. So but yeah, it makes, I can understand how it does make sense in this day and age, just to kind of, you know, release a song here or there, or what have you, and maybe not even release a record. So
how much thought goes into because talking to musicians, I've realized that this is kind of an art form in and of itself, though. You know, writing great songs, having great music on there is surely important. But sequencing in the arrangement of songs, I've come to realize doing this podcast, in the cadence and the flow of an album and how songs flow into each other is very important. You know, do you guys sit around and have discussions about that? And you know, is that pivotal to a Cannibal Corpse album?
Oh, of course. That's part of the old school mentality of making an album. You know, we're not going to just slap it together where, you know, all right, here we go, 10 songs. Who cares what songs first, you know? Right. Oh, we care. Of course we care. We, you know, there's much not, you know, arguing or debating really. It's just, you know, yeah, you want to pick the right ones, you know, and everybody's got their say and all that. And you might take a little while to kind of find the exact formula that you want, how you want it to flow as an old school listener. You want your first song, you want your last song, you want your first song on the side B of, you know, vinyl kind of thing. And yeah, so no, we, of course, yeah, that's a vital part of the creative process for us. And I'm sure it always will be, like how we just mentioned, if we're just going to keep doing albums, yes, the sequencing to us is very important.
And I don't want to focus just on Cannibal Corpse, because when we talked last year, I think it had either just come out or you were on the cusp of doing Umbilicus. Will there be new Umbilicus music? I really enjoyed that album. Certainly a vast departure from what you do in Cannibal Corpse. People that haven't checked out Umbilicus, certainly more of a harkens back to like good old 60s and 70s, a classic rock sound to it. Will there be more from Umbilicus?
Yeah, thanks for the compliments. I appreciate
love it. I love that Path of a Thousand Suns album. Great album.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. No,
yeah.
Yeah, we're still going, just slow going, I guess, in a sense. Everybody's been busy. Taylor being in Deicide now, he's been busy. And then, of course,
Yeah.
our singer's living up in Canada, so it makes it a little more tough to do things. But we have some new songs in the works. As we right now we have 5 songs that we're looking to record soon. Now it's funny, we just talked about the whole album kind of a thing, and obviously we're not signed to a main like an album, a record label like Metal Blade or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. So we were kind of wondering, what do we do? We have 5 songs that we can kind of get together. I'm probably actually going to record them hopefully within a month or so, and then the other guys can get the tracking done, and with any luck, maybe 5-6 months from now or what have you, we can have these songs ready to go. So what do we do exactly? Do we concentrate on like another album and write more songs? Do we try to get something out quicker because we have the 5? Do we release it as an EP? Do we just release it as a single, like digital singles?
Right.
Every other month or something like that. So we're thinking about that maybe going that route, just like you were saying about how a lot of bands are doing it, and it might be okay to do it with this side project with Umbilicus. So we'll figure that out. But either way, yes, more music to come. Hopefully, like I said, sometime in the next year here soon, that we'll be able to get something out, like whether it's an EP or just the songs or a full length. But yeah, we're working on it, and we're excited to be moving forward with that for sure.
Is it satisfying, to kind of, for lack of a better term, does it kind of scratch a different itch when you're doing music that's like a vast departure from what you do in Cannibal Corpse? Is it gratifying to kind of have a creative outlet that, that is kind of almost a polar opposite of what you do in Cannibal?
Oh, totally. I mean, really, it's, I love it. I mean, I love, playing that kind of way, and love listening to those kinds of songs, of course. And, I think we wrote some pretty killer songs right on that album. I mean, so total great, a great departure from just blasting and playing fast and grooving out and having fun in that regard. I mean, and I've really incorporated it into my practice routine. Like obviously, Cannibal's going to go on the road coming up, and and I got to keep, like we mentioned earlier, just keep maintaining my my chops and drumming and all this. It's kind of like my warm up. I get to practice.
Sure.
I'm like, hey, let me run through these Umbilicus songs. They're fun to play, of course, and obviously they're not very strenuous. So I can kind of get my body flow more working and just have kind of fun and groove out in that regard. And then, okay, do all those, and all right, time to move on and start practicing Cannibal. And but what a great departure it is. I mean, that was the reason to start the project, anyways, was just my love of hard rock and old rock and roll, and just wanted to kind of see if I could, see if we can come up with something, be in a band like that and write some cool songs that could be here forever. And I think, I'm glad you like the record, and think a lot of people do. And I mean, I hope we're able to do a little bit more in the way of maybe getting out on the road and, getting some more, getting some opportunities in that regard in the future would be nice. But I mean, the way I looked at it, and I think the way we all looked at it is, we left our mark. We made a good record that's here forever. We're having fun. And, if it was all to end tomorrow, hey man, that was, we had a lot of fun. That was awesome. I'm glad we did it, because, maybe the opportunity doesn't arise in the future, and that might be it. But at least we can say we left our mark and we got a great record. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the whole situation. But man, yeah, what a lot of fun I'm having playing, and I'm glad I'm doing it. It does break up that monotony of just, like I said, blasting all the time and just concentrating on that heavy stuff.
And what's the creative process like, and how does it differ when you make music with these guys in Umbilicus? Is it kind of the same process, more collaborative? I mean, does everybody have like more input? Does someone have the lion's share of the ideas in the Umbilicus project? How do you guys? You said you guys are kind of spread out in different areas. Is a lot of it done technology wise, sending songs to each other?
Well, yeah, the 3 of us, myself, Taylor Nordberg, the guitar player, and Vernon Blake live in Tampa. So we're at least us 3 live here. And Brian Stevenson, our singer, who's a multi-purpose, just amazing musician in himself, great vocalist, obviously. but he's a great guitar player. He's a great musician. He's a great bass player. I mean, he's a great songwriter. I mean, he really is. So having him being multi-talented in this way, the first album, or the album I should say, was done mostly like Taylor kind of writing the songs. I mean, and then maybe, you know, hey, he'd come up with the song, hey, maybe try this, try that. Okay, you know, anybody had any given any input that was anybody had was given or accepted, and we'll see what happens. So, but Taylor, man, he wrote pretty much 90% of those songs by himself, because man, he's just a great songwriter. He's got a great vision for this kind of music as well. So we just go, you know, and kind of do his thing. You know, with a little bit of collaboration. So, but funny, you know, we talk about this now because we had Brian Stevenson come down a few months just for this reason, to kind of like, well, we played a show a couple months back in Tampa. We wanted to play a show, so we set up a show, and then we were like, you know, let's you know, utilize Brian while he's here to maybe let's try to write. The old-fashioned way. Exactly. Who's got some stuff? Let's get in a room. Let's
right.
Well, Brian actually picked, you know, like I said, being a great musician, we set him up with a guitar in the practice room. And then so there's two new songs that Brian more than likely will play on them as a guitar player. And if we were to play these songs live, he would be playing guitar as well. Like right now, yes, if Umbilicus plays and we're just, all we can say is play our 10 songs we have off that record, Brian's just the singer. He's not guitar or anything. Well, these two in particular that we got, he would have to play the guitar because of the back and forth. We got a couple different rhythms going on. So we're kind of stepping it up in that regard to make Brian a little bit more involved in the music aspect of it.
Okay.
And you know, I can't wait really to get these out, because there's and those two songs in particular are probably my favorite ones so far. Just having you know, the riffs we came up with, and having the different guitar parts. I'm sorry, my dog's want to start barking.
That's all right. That's all right. I've had pets make many cameo appearances in my episodes.
Well, shut up until I yell at him. But yeah, no. So it's good that it's been a collaborative effort, and it's awesome to get Brian involved more in the music department, and you know, involved in playing like some guitar, and it'll be a lot of fun to record these, and like I said, actually playing live.
And what about now? I know, you know, Eric Rutan, shipped him back to Cannibal, officially joined in 2021, but I feel like he's kind of been like an honorary member even before that, as far as his involvement with you guys and helping you guys in the studio and everything, man. But what has he brought? He brought to the band, because the last time I saw you guys in concert, it was the first time that he was out on the road with you guys. You know, how is the band dynamic changed having him as part of the band?
Well, I mean, he's a great person, you know. I mean, he's an amazing talent. He's a great guy. I mean, he's a good friend of ours, of course, you know. So, right, he was already an honorary member before that because of him being the producer, and we've known him forever and all that kind of thing. So getting him in as a member was pretty seamless, and it was just natural. But man, what a positive! He's such a positive guy. He's such a great worker. I mean, his work ethic is just, you know, no one works harder than that guy, you know, really, and anything they do or anything he does. So
was it even up for debate? Was there any other choices, or was it automatically, when Pat was no longer in the band, was it automatically going to be Eric? What, you know, was there ever a thought of anybody else?
No. You know, and when we talked about it, when, you know, we were like, well, Eric is the obvious choice. I mean, right. You know, he lives here. He's worked with us, all the things I just said. He's a good friend of ours and all this kind of thing. So it just made complete sense to ask him. And he'll even tell you when we asked him, or when it all came together, you know, when everything went down with what it did, he knew we were going to ask him. It was just like, it was all meant to be in that regard.
Right.
He knew he was going to get asked. I mean, he just knew it. And we, you know, knew we were going to ask him, of course. So it all fell into place like perfect, of course. But yeah, so I mean, he's just, you said, a great guy, great workforce, great musician, all those things. And you can't say enough about him. And I mean, if anything, he's just, kind of made kicked us into gear a little bit more so. I mean, of course he's bringing his ideas and writing his songs, which is a great thing. I mean, he's a great songwriter, and he's got to write some Cannibal songs, which are a little different for him, than what he's used to doing. But he wrote some great songs, the few that he's done so far.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're I mean, it was just so natural. Like I said, it wasn't even like it didn't even seem like a change almost, really. It was it was something that was meant to happen, I think. And we're glad it did. We're glad he accepted, and we're just having a great time having him in the band. And yeah, it's been fun.
Now, this is strictly a subjective question here, but, again, I mentioned a couple minutes ago in the interview, 35 plus years, so many great extreme metal bands have come, gone, not flourished, have flourished, but not to the extent or the longevity of you guys. Can you put a finger on like why you think, year after year, album after album, Cannibal Corpse just continues to stay relevant and continues to stay such a major force in extreme metal? I mean, you do have contemporaries, the Obituaries. There are other bands out there, certainly, that have been able to maintain it, over the long haul. But something about you guys, man, just, you seem to have really captured lightning in a bottle in the extreme metal world and seem to have really found some type of magic where, album after album, you guys have a formula, it doesn't change. The fans don't expect it to change, but yet they're there. They're there in droves for every album.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I know. Like, I mean, the only thing I can, you think about it and you're like, why us and all this? Well, I mean, we've been there. We've never stopped, I guess. I mean, we're always in the public's eye. We're always either, releasing a record or on tour, right?
That's true.
We feel, I don't know, we just feel like that we're writing some good songs, memorable songs, some hits. I mean, so to say, when you got songs that are, arguably some of the biggest in death metal, like Hammer Smash Face or Evisceration Plague or whatever. Yeah. Iron and things like that. I mean, I know it's hard to say. I mean, and then, maybe it's a lot of just being in the right place at the right time with, the movie with Ace Ventura.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we owe any of this to Jim Carrey?
Yeah, a little bit, I mean, a lot of fans have come up to us over the years, of course.
Sure.
And if it wasn't for you in the movie, or I saw the movie and, oh, what's this? And I became a fan. So, we've heard that so many times. And so I would have to say it didn't hurt. And if anything, it definitely helped, of course. So, I mean, just being in the public's eye in different ways, I suppose, we're always getting some sort of weird kind of, the whole Bob Dole situation, whether that was, the censorship thing in Germany. Right. All these different things that are just, I guess, good overall for people seeing us or hearing about us is a good thing. But
yeah, all publicity is good publicity. Yeah. Maybe we even owe Tipper Gore a little bit of debt of gratitude.
Yep, that's right. And Al Gore, when he president there mentioned all that whole thing about us. So I mean, we want to just feel as maybe it's just a bit of everything here, but mainly I think just because I think people know we've been there since the beginning. We haven't stopped. We just give it our all. We're 100% dedicated to making the best music we can make, I suppose. And it is pretty wild to think about, when you do sit and think about it, like, well, what the hell, here we are 6 years. And
you've resonated with the people.
Yeah, we have, so it's a great thing,
I think you make a good point too. I think it is the workman-like attitude, though. The fact that you guys have been so consistent. Every couple of years, we know we're going to get a Cannibal Corpse album. There's no mystery as to what we're going to get. You guys have always kept the pedal to the metal. You know what I mean? Consistency, I think, is big with music. I think especially with death metal. Other genres of music, people want you to change your sound. Well, if you're doing the same thing, they're bagging on you. If you're changing your sound, I guess, too drastically, they're bagging on you too. But I think you can get away with it in death metal, man. Being consistently, maintaining, at the same level all the time.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's worked, of course. We're Cannibal Corpse. We're going to be brutal, in your face death metal. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what you get. And exactly, the fans know what to get, or what they're going to get. They know what to expect. That's what they want. That's what we want. So it works hand in hand in that regard. And here we are. I know it's, but you're right. You're right. That in death metal, it does work, and it can work. And here we are, living proof of that.
Now, because you've been there, all these years, and maybe this will be a polarizing question, and again, another subjective one, man, and certainly just Paul's opinion, but maybe put it to rest, because I do see it debated constantly. Out of 16 albums, man, what would you rank as your favorite? What do you think is the best Cannibal Corpse album, start to finish?
Yeah, that's a tough one, but I guess. When I really listen back, I mean, musically, of course, I mean, just as a whole, you're gonna let and I'm gonna be more concentrating, I guess, on songwriting.
Sure.
It's probably The Bleeding. I think the Bleeding, every song is very powerful, very different. We were really on top of it in the songwriting department at that point, right there at the Bleeding, I think, as a whole, so that would probably be the one that I would pick, and I'm probably not, a lot of fans, I think, pick that record. That's a big fan favorite overall. So
yeah.
I don't think I'm alone in that regard. A lot of people would probably agree with me, but yeah, when you listen to all the songs, I mean, just think of that record. I go, man, I think we've played at one point every song live at one point, I think, and that rarely happens, other than maybe like the first. I don't even know if we did that with the first, like Eat Back to Life or Butchered at Birth, when you only have an album or two and you're out on the road and you have no choice but to play what.
Right.
So, but I think obviously at Bleeding being the fourth record, and then by the time, you're rolling around to album 5, 6 or whatever, 7, you're still playing songs off of the Bleeding. And, to say we played pretty much, I think, every one at one point, that's probably the only album that's ever happened off of. So, yeah, the Bleeding is a special record, I believe.
Now, you guys are about to depart next year on a huge tour with Meshuggah and Carcass. I think fans are extremely excited about that package, man. That is a monster tour package. Excited about it?
Yeah, man, that's going to be a good one.
Carcass, legends.
Oh, I know, totally legendary. I mean, yeah, we didn't even know Carcass were going to be on it initially when we knew we were offered for the Meshuggah, direct support, and so that was, we didn't know at that point who. I don't even know if Carcass were on it at that point, but we were like, okay, well, this should be a good tour. Let's be awesome. Get the fan playing some bigger places, kind of like we did with Amon Amarth, and maybe spread the word a little more. So hopefully, get some death metal fans there that may not have went to see Meshuggah or vice versa or what have you, right? And then when we found out Carcass was on, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be sick. It's gonna be brutal having the three bands, us three. So yeah, we're totally looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great tour, a lot of fun. So can't wait.
Now, when bands open for you or tour with you, obviously it can certainly be like a springboard, for their career, raises their profile, have an opening slot, like, when you guys go to, smaller venues, you might pick up like local bands along the way, or just emerging bands. Is there anybody out there, who you've seen, who you feel could be the, the eventual, carry the torch? Is there the next Cannibal Corpse out there? Are there any newer bands doing extreme metal, pushing the boundaries, that have come under your come to your attention?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. It's a lot out there. I mean, I know, like a band might be getting on the tour, like you say, like Frozen Soul. It's like, okay, well, they're obviously doing well,
right.
Bands like that, they get on tours because they're doing well, but then bands like that, where I'm living under my rock that I am.
Right. I'm the same way.
Right. Who's Frozen Soul? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Doing something. Okay. Then you see them, they're great people, of course, great band,
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to them. I didn't know who. I just don't listen to a lot of newer bands or death metal, so I don't even know what's going on out there until I read like everybody else does. Like, okay, well, wow, that band's getting on that tour. They're on this tour. They're doing this. Well, they must be. Fans must really dig them.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, ironically enough, you're mentioning that, and we toured with them, the Blood Incantation, and you probably heard it. That new Blood Incantation.
I just had Morris on, the guitar player. I just put the episode up on my channel a couple of days ago. What a fascinating guy and an amazing guitar player, and like where they took death metal, man, a really interesting spin on it.
Unbelievable. I the only reason well, not the only reason, I'm going to go, I'll visit the record. I've heard so many great things about it.
Amazing.
People are just freaking out about this record. And my friend, yeah, it was just like 2 days ago. He goes, hey, I was helping him do some work in his studio. But hey, did you hear the New Blood Incantation? I go, no, but I've been hearing a lot about it. And so he put it on, and I was just like, whoa, this is just insane, I mean, in a good way, of course.
It's cool to see like psychedelic music like mixed with death metal. You know what I mean? Like they're really coming at it from a really different angle.
And it's just done well. It's not like sometimes it could be done just, I don't know, a little
cheesier.
Yeah. And it's not, obviously, you've heard it and and everybody else seems to be feeling the same way. So I was like, man, I gotta really listen to this record intently, like sit down.
Dive into it. Yeah, really dive into it and take the time with it. It really is not probably an album that's for everybody, what I mean? But certainly an interesting take, and there's not a lot of people who can necessarily bring something interesting to death metal. It's very hard to like introduce other elements into something that that people want. They want their death metal brutal.
Right.
And there certainly is beautiful brutal moments on that album.
Sure. It looks like it's a great mix of everything with so much going on in different, aspects, which is awesome. I mean, good for them. I mean, they're great guys, and, I can see them really kind of ballooning up, even more they are, and probably for those reasons, right, that we just talked about, with them pushing boundaries like that, So awesome.
Listen, Paul, man, I always love talking to you, man. I could sit here and chop it up with you all day, man. A couple New Yorkers, man, we'll never shut up, man. If left to our own devices, man, you know how New Yorkers are. I mean, we can't shut up. So I mean, but it's a pleasure, and congratulations, man. You guys are still going strong, man, and I love it, man. I love you guys for it, man. I mean, congratulations, 16 albums in, man, and it just doesn't seem to be any letting up from you guys, man. And really looking forward to new Umbilicus too, man. I really love what you're doing there too.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all the kind words. And it was a lot of fun talking to you again, of course. And we'll do it again at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah,
man. I appreciate the the time, and again, thank you for all the kind words. And here we go. Keep it going, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Another year, and just keep it going. So
I appreciate you, man. This is an honor. It's always great talking to you, man. Thanks so much, man. And hey, have a happy holiday to you and the family.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, take care, man.
Appreciate you, Paul. Thank you, brother.
Bye, man.
Later.
See you.
There he goes, folks. The legendary Paul Mazurkiewicz, the man that's been giving you those blast beats and then incredible double bass and pounding the fucking skins for damn near 40 fucking years in the most legendary death metal band of all time. I will hear nothing else. Although Obituary are my boys too, and I've had a couple of the guys on from Obituary. They run neck and neck for me, man. But I think Paul would certainly acquiesce and even say that the Obituary are right there on that death metal Mount Rushmore for sure. Cannibal Corpse, man, just constantly churning out fucking amazing albums. 2023 was no different with Chaos Horrific, their 16th fucking studio album. There's no let up from these guys, man. Paul is sounding and drumming better than fucking ever, man. He might be part machine. I was going to ask him that, man, if he's got any cyborg parts or any robotic parts in him, man, because he is really still behind the kit, fucking killing it. And a vast departure from what he does. Umbilicus is another project that he is involved in. 2022, they put out a great album called Path of a Thousand Suns, which, again, as I said, a vast departure from what he does in Cannibal, man. Very old school classic rock vibe. Taylor Norberg from Deicide is also in the band. Just a great fucking project. And as Paul said, new music expected from those guys as well. And Cannibal Corpse, in the next year or two, you're going to get another fucking face-melting album, man. What you see is what you get with the boys in Cannibal, man. They will continue to pulverize us until they don't want to anymore. The ball is always going to be in their court, man. But I mean, come on, man. The songwriting of all the guys, as Paul said, it's become a lot different as their career has gone on, where guys are really just writing whole songs. Paul, the addition of Eric Rutan, the amazingly prolific Alex Webster, Corpse Grinder. I mean, you know, they are a fucking juggernaut of a fucking band and great fucking guys, man. And as an upstate New York guy, they may be based in Tampa, Florida, man, and may have gone down to the Florida death metal scene. But originally, we can claim them. Buffalo, New York fucking guys is where it all started for Cannibal, man. So, yeah, we're going to claim them. Regardless of geographically where they are now, man, the roots of Cannibal Corpse were spawned in upstate New York. So lest us not forget that. But always great to catch up with the legendary Paul Mazurkiewicz of Cannibal Corpse. So thank you, Paul. Appreciate him coming on here, man. And again, make sure to like and follow PodScum on Facebook. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this channel to stay tapped in to your boy Rexx Ruger, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. You know it. I know it. Even the Freddie Mercury puppet who don't know much, even he fucking knows it, man. So, again, thank you for tuning in, man. Another great episode in the books. And like I always say when I end these things, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.